Hello, my curious souls. Welcome in or welcome back. My name is Amanda. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your time and energy with me. Today we have a Timeless Pick-a-Card Tarot reading all about the patterns that you need to break free from. Those patterns could be in relation to people, situations, thoughts, feelings, behaviors. We'll get into it with some oracle cards and some tarot cards and see what comes up in each one of these soul paths today. So if you are ready to get into it, the timestamps are all in the description box. However, if you would like me to introduce you to the soul paths, let me do that now. For soul path 1, we have Jupiter, the number 7, and the serpentine stone. For soul path 2, we have Mars with the number 6, with the carnelian. And for soul path 3, we have Neptune with the number 10 and aquamarine. So when you feel called and ready, use your intuition to choose the soul path that is calling to you the most. Then click on the timestamp in the description box to head on over to your reading, and we will see you over there. Hello, Soul Path 1. Welcome to your reading. So you chose the Jupiter card with the serpentine stone. I get the sense that you're trying to see growth in your life. You want to see more abundance. You want to see expansiveness. Maybe you're feeling stuck in place, stagnant, not being able to move, possibly because some kind of pattern keeps repeating and you're not able to break free, to break out. Jupiter can also speak to the law, higher education, religion. So there could be some aspect of you tapping into a higher level of knowledge within yourself, learning something about these patterns or beliefs or values that you have attached to that I almost wonder have been sitting under the surface in your subconscious, and you're not able to really identify them because they have been under your radar a little bit. So let's get some cards now to open your reading. I never know where to put these cards. So let's look at, or get an opening energy card for your reading for Soul Path 1, please, Spirit, regarding patterns. Thank you. Ooh, okay, the past. This is probably going to be most people's, where a lot of their patterns have originated, and we will get more detail about that in the tarot. What's interesting is that the serpentine stone is like the snake, the serpent, and we have snakes here. And I'm hearing snake in the grass, snake in our midst. So there could be something slithering under your radar that you don't notice. Snakes could also be very significant for you, or it could be your spirit animal. It could have some more symbolism there. But I do feel like there is a darkness in your past that has prevented you, or is preventing you, from seeing expansion. So it's keeping you within a particular, container, metaphorical container, and it's not allowing you to break out and expand and grow. So this could be a situation that you experienced, which then imparted beliefs or behaviors or habits that have almost been so integrated into your life and within you that you don't even realize that that's not really what you identify with. That's not really who you are. So interesting. We will get some tarot cards now. All right, so first card out, we are going to look at the pattern that you need to break away from. Pattern, Soul Path 1. Okay, we have the 10 of Wands. Why has this been a challenge for Soul Path 1? And we will look at guidance or advice on breaking free or healing from. There's a child screaming in the background. Ooh. So I almost wonder if this has been a source of frustration, maybe something from your childhood. Like you couldn't express yourself. You wanted to yell and scream and fight and share your frustrations and your irritations and your anger, but you couldn't, so you suppressed it. So we have the let's start at the beginning here. We do have the 10 of Wands here, which feels like something that you've carried for a long time. This can be work that you've put in and possibly have taken on from other people. You've taken on a lot of responsibilities, but they're not just your responsibilities, they are responsibilities of other people. Now, you could have carried some level of burden, for example, regarding an aging or ailing parent or a friend or a family member, which is noble and is something that you possibly were happy to do. This is when it is a good kind of burden, where we are happy to care for the people that have loved us and we love. However, when people are dumping stuff on us, not necessarily asking, and we may not have healthy boundaries to put up to say no and push back, that is when it gets to be a little too much, and when it becomes energetically heavy to where we can't see where we're going because we've got so much on our plate that we're not only doing the work for ourselves but other people. And sometimes that responsibility or the work that we're doing on other people's behalf completely overshadows the things that we want to achieve for our own life. So definitely a check-in on that. But I feel for the majority, since we're talking here about the things that need to be, the patterns that need to be broken, I think you might be some level of a people pleaser, where you are taking on stuff to help, but also to be accepted and to be accommodating and to be liked. Not necessarily a bad thing, but when it overshadows, you could be a very giving person, but when it overshadows our needs, our wants, and our own healthy boundaries, maybe we don't have the energy or the emotional capacity or the financial capacity to help, but we do it anyway. That is when it becomes compromising, is where I was going with that. That is when we have to look at it and start implementing ways to be able to say no a little bit more, to be able to only take on the things that we have capacity for or the passion for, so that we don't get burned out. This can be a little bit of a burnout energy. So you could be doing something, the patterns that you're doing in your world at the moment, your life, your business, could lead you to some level of burnout. So you could be in and out of burnout a lot. You rest for a couple days, you don't do anything, and then you go full speed and you take on too much, and then you get burnt out again, so you have to take it back. There's some level of pattern or repeat or something that you've done for a really long time that has to come to some kind of end or has to be recalibrated. And I think the challenge to recalibrating that is that you could be moving too fast. And the Knight of Pentacles is this energy of moving a little slower, of being really strategic and stopping to look around. How do I feel? Where am I going? Is this the right way? Is this the right speed? This is a very slow moving energy. So it's also very focused energy. They are only carrying that one pentacle. Not to say that you should only do one thing at a time, although that could be some advice there for some, depending on your situation. But say we're a business owner, we're going to an entrepreneur, and we only work for ourselves. We don't have any employees or contractors. There's going to be a lot on our plate. So what are the most important, the top 5 or the top 2 for the day? What are those things that we can focus on? Rather than doing 100 things in a day, let's break it down to 2 to 5 most important things. Maybe it's even 1 some days, but to slow things down, to pare back, and to simplify. Be really mindful. There's a mindfulness because he takes 2 steps and then he stops and then he assesses. Are we good? Are we in the right direction? Are things feeling good? Am I feeling comfortable? Am I feeling pretty good about where I'm going. Okay, let's take some more steps. And to continually do that. The wands, especially when it comes to the Eight of Wands, can be very fast moving. And it can, there's this energy of buildup of fire. And when we build up fire, we get a bonfire that is out of control, and that the only way to fix it is to completely douse it. So we want to be mindful of that, because we do want to have the energy for things that we really love, those 100% yeses. But I have a feeling that this particular pattern was started in the past somewhere, possibly childhood. I almost want to get a clarifier for this one, but I think the clarifier, we'll get some clarifiers for these, and we'll get a little more detail on these, which will hopefully clarify what in the past created this pattern for you. Now, when we come to the guidance or advice, we have the Wheel of Fortune and the King of Pentacles, which is kind of cool, because, we've got this Knight of Pentacles here, slow and steady. It's like slow and steady wins the race. And we have the Wheel of Fortune, which is universal energy, something that we can't really necessarily change. And there's always going to be changes. There is not a lot that we can control sometimes. The only thing we can control is our own actions and the way we care for ourselves, the way we show up, the tasks or the tasks that we take on, the things we say yes to, the things we say no to, when to rest, when to work, etc. And I'm speaking in business terms now. That might not be an option for everybody, but I think that you have been making an effort to change your external circumstances, possibly, and that effort has really drained you, because you can't. When the universal energies are here, you cannot control those. Those are bigger than you. So in the sense of economic conditions, you can't control that. So the only thing that you can do is to adapt and make changes to your situation in order to get through low economic conditions or poor economic conditions. Now, this is also a Jupiter card as well. And so Jupiter is showing up here. So I feel like this part of your journey is helping you expand into something bigger, but it has to be quite mindful. And I feel like it is. This is expansive energy here with the King of Pentacles. This King of Pentacles has worked really hard to earn what he's earned in terms of health, wealth, comfort, safety, security, etc. And he knows where to invest his time. He knows where to invest his money. He works smarter, not harder. And I feel like that's part of your advice, is to work smarter, not harder, especially in the face of change, especially in the face of maybe poor economic conditions. But slow and steady is going to win this race here. And I feel like you're going to move from the Knight of Pentacles to the King quite quickly on the other side of this change. But let's get a peek for this pattern that you need to break, which may be already revealed, but I'm really curious about what this Ten of Wands is. What is this Ten of Wands? Clarify this Ten of Wands. Too many. Way too many. But I will take that one, the Hierophant. So I feel like this has been a pattern for a long time, possibly a tradition or a routine. Two of Cups. Connection to a relationship, possibly. You might be taking on more responsibility in the home, within the relationship itself. You might be making a lot of decisions. You might be putting in the effort to make vacation plans, for example. And I feel like there's a level of routine or structure. This is how it always has been. And so I fear changing it. I am going to get a clarifier for this past one, because I feel this is present current energy or something that needs to be broken. But I really want to know what this past energy is all about. Very unconventional what I'm doing, but I feel like that almost is part of this message, is you need to do something a little bit unconventional. What is this past? Dark Moon. Dark Moon from the past. What is this Dark Moon? What is this dark moon from the past? Okay, something to do with grief, something to do with loss. Maybe there's a fear of loss. Maybe there is a fear of disappointment. I could do a whole spread on this one past card. But I'm just going to leave that there because I think we can really go down the rabbit hole on that one, and I want to keep this relatively short. Knight of Pentacles for the obstacle. Let's get one card for now. Knight of Pentacles as the obstacle. So the Nine of Wands. So this is paring it back. Like we just said, we go from the 10 to the 9 here. There's a little bit of a nervous energy about doing that. You're worried, you know, am I going to fall behind? Am I going to, you know, how are things going to change if I do that? If I change the way I do things? And again, the Nine of Wands can also speak to boundaries. So again, taking a step back and putting up those healthy boundaries before things get too far. But I think that's a real worry because you have to learn how to slow down first before you can start implementing those boundaries. One more for the Knight of Pentacles, please. Strongest. Oh, fell on the floor. Ace of Cups. This has to really do with how you feel. Feeling differently. You have to almost feel into this, as well as keeping things really methodical and logical and practical. You have to almost balance the two. And that might be a little bit of a process in itself to understand how to slow down, but also weave the practical with how you feel in order to put up those healthy boundaries. How does this thing make me feel? Now, I will say discomfort could be a part of this. So don't use discomfort as the gauge to whether it's right or wrong. Because we've done something in a relatively unhealthy way for so long, that's going to feel better because that has been our pattern. That has been the thing that we've done. So when we start doing things differently, it's naturally going to feel weird. It's naturally going to feel uncomfortable. But your feelings, your intuition is going to be the guidepost to whether it's right or not. Yes, you may have some initial emotions that come up or feelings that come out of guilt, shame, of discomfort, but remember why you're placing this boundary in place in the first place. I need to preserve my energy. This doesn't feel right at the heart, at the core of who I am. This person doesn't feel good to be around, or they drain my energy. So checking in with those deeper feelings rather than the surface level reactions that come up, I feel is really going to help you. So Wheel of Fortune and King of Pentacles. Wheel of Fortune and King of Pentacles. So 8 of Pentacles and the Page of Swords. So this is learning something new and putting it into practice. Not being afraid of making mistakes, of not being afraid to step into your truth, to share your truth, to start to understand your truth a little bit more, to learn what feels good and what doesn't, to learn where you are seeing these patterns unfold and why, going back to your past, looking back at those things that disappointed you, where you felt lost, where you may have adapted to be able to prevent that loss or even control the future, control the external. So there's kind of a past future energy going on here, and it all lies in your actions. What are your actions, especially the ones that feel draining, the ones that feel misaligned, the ones that sacrifice your capacity, your energetic capacity, your mental capacity, your spiritual capacity? Where did those begin and why? So we're going to get a final oracle message to end your reading for Soul Path 1. Thank you. Solitude. In silence, peace prevails. I almost get solitude with this Knight of Pentacles, even though he isn't quite in solitude. This is this quiet moment to process and think and to look around. But I feel like taking a step back, of stepping into your feelings and this quiet moment to listen to your intuition will really help. I feel like your intuition, our intuition is very quiet. It's very subtle. So if we're too busy, distracted, we've got too many things on our plate, we are going to miss out on what that intuition is trying to tell us. And that could be part of that Ace of Cups energy. I'm going to get one more, and then we will call your reading complete. One more, please, for Soul Path 1. Woo. So, more Pentacle energy. Fogged in, take time. So yeah, you could end up being in a place or finding yourself in a place that feels really foggy because you are doing things that you have never done before. So all the more reason to take time and to not rush, and to practice and to push around a little to really get a feel for what's going to work for you and what's not. And really be open to learning. Don't worry about making mistakes. Don't worry about not doing things perfectly. This process and this journey isn't about that. This process is about learning about these patterns, where they came from, where they originated, and how they show up in our lives and in what ways. And to be able to bring awareness to them and start slowly changing them to where we want them to be. So this is what I have for you, Soul Path 1. If you'd like to dive deeper with a personal reading, the link to book that is in the description box. With gratitude, I'm sending you my love, and we'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Soul Path 2. Welcome to your reading. So you chose the Mars card with the carnelian stone. I feel like you're really ready to break free from patterns with force, with action. You're ready to confront things. There's a lot of fire behind this card. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of passion and desire to break free, interesting, and break beyond. 3 could be an important number for you. It is also the number of expansion and growth. Jupiter is also about expansion and growth. So Soul Path 1 might have, you might be coming from Soul Path 1, or Soul Path 1 might be of interest to you. Yeah, so I feel like there's a lot of energy that you have, and maybe a feeling of confidence, like, okay, yes, I'm ready. Let's just get this done and get this over with. There's just a lot of fire and a lot of push and a lot of force in the best way, I think. And Mars is also very assertive, very ambitious. So maybe that is energy that you are embodying, or maybe something that you need to embrace in order to break free from patterns, or, move into something, attain a goal that you want to attain. So let's just get an opening energy to open the reading today. For Soul Path 2, please. And you could need to tap into your confidence a little bit more. To be confident in your actions. To be confident in your assertions towards people. And we have love. Self-love could be something to consider. Maybe that's something you're trying to work on or move towards. Is love in general. There's a fullness here. There's a wholeness here. And in order for us to really experience whole, full love, not perfect love, but something that feels whole, we have to show up as whole as we can be. We have to show ourselves and understand what love looks like and feels like to us before we can find that in others. But not to also rely on others for that love, or anything else for that matter, to not seek validation outside of ourselves. That's not to say that we shouldn't find love, but we have to understand how to do that for ourselves first before we can have that expression in the external, or to really appreciate that expression in the external, and to find love that is more whole overall. So we are going to get into your tarot now to get a peek at some details about what do you need to break away from, patterns that you're needing to break away from at this time for Soul Path 2, please, Spirit. Strongest energy, thank you. Page of Swords. Next is the obstacle to breaking free from this. Obstacle to breaking free. We have the Three of Swords in the sideways position. And one more for guidance and advice on how to overcome. Guidance and advice for Soul Path 2, please. Aha! Page of Pentacles. And we will get clarifiers with these in a short minute, but let's just take a peek at the Page of Swords for a moment. So the Page of Swords is an energy of learning, of intellect, of communication, reading, writing, and learning through observation, looking around, receiving information, writing things down, taking notes. So there's a level of intellect here. And because there's this Three of Swords here, and there's also this Love Oracle card, I almost wonder if there's a pattern of choosing a partner that looks good on paper, or that has all of the right words. They're very charming. They are very exciting. They do things relatively quickly and spontaneously. However, there's a lack of maturity here. They say all the right things, but don't necessarily show you through their actions. And I feel like this has gotten you into a bit of heartbreak in the past. And maybe their words have been quite harsh, which has offered you a level of pain and heartbreak. So I feel like there's a choice between two different types of partners here. And the guidance with the Page of Pentacles is this idea of choosing somebody that moves a little more slowly, that is a little more grounded, and that shows you their intent and their care through actions. So I'm almost getting love languages here. And that could be part of your energy as well, as maybe you move through relationships or just things that you're passionate about pursuing in a very spontaneous and fast way. But this has maybe caused some level of disappointment or pain in your past. And the obstacle is to heal from that pain so you may understand the choices you make and the reasons that you make those choices so that you can do things a little bit differently. And I feel there is a new process or a new strategy that is going to be required to level you up and move you forward. But I feel it's going to be a little bit different than what you're used to. So I think the pattern that is breaking is the speed at which you're doing something and the way at which you're doing something. So I'm getting both speed and strategy here. Because I feel right now you might have some doubts about you in a relationship. But I do feel there's opportunity here for healing and wholeness, bringing that wholeness back to self and discovering a different way of doing things. Now, if you are consciously single, this message may not be for you. I feel this is for a person who is looking to connect with another person on an intimate and romantic level. So you may need to exchange certain qualities and traits that you find attractive, but may not offer long-term value for you when it comes to what it is you actually need. Is it aligned with your beliefs and your value system, and how that love and care is reciprocated, and consistently causing you some level of heartbreak? Interesting that this is turned into a bit of a love relationship. But coming back to the beginning, this energy of passion and the red connected to love, it's just really interesting that I never made that connection. It's a very masculine energy as well. So it's very action oriented. There's an ambition to chase something here. So what are you chasing that's not working? What are you chasing that is painful or hurtful for you? And that seems to be on a little bit of a repeat. So we're going to get Page of Swords, clarifier for the Page of Swords. Three of Cups. And one more. One more for the Page of Swords, please. And the Sun. I have a feeling this might not be connected to a love relationship. This might be connected to friendships and how you identify yourself among certain friends, or who you identify as among these friends. What's super interesting is that these three people here are shown in the Sun card. So I feel like you've grown up. There's a sense that you've grown up with a certain group of people. You've matured with a certain group of people. Maybe you've matured, but they haven't. Oh, that's an interesting angle. So you might have fun with them. You might like the spontaneity. You might like the excitement that this friend group offers you. And by identifying with them, then you're fun and adventurous and exciting as well. But I feel like there's a lack of fulfillment. I keep getting a lack of fulfillment, especially because these are in the position of the patterns that you need to break away from. And then the obstacle to doing so. You don't want to be hurt by letting go of something that feels so established and so a part of you. That feels fun, but something that you may not identify with anymore or align with anymore. Now, I will say that even though we're talking about breaking away from patterns or people or situations, this doesn't necessarily mean to break up or break off or not have them in your life. This is looking at you, your needs, and the things that you need to implement more of, and to release patterns that are no longer working for you. And I feel like this pattern, whatever this pattern might be within this group of friends, I feel like your identity is connected to them to some degree, but it may not be working for you. There's some level of heartbreak and pain that it could offer you. I don't know what this is. Let's get more. So maybe it's just reducing your contact, or maybe simply just expanding your friend group so that these aren't the only people that you kind of connect with. Expanding your network. Three of Swords. What is this? One more? Okay. Three of Swords. One more. The sideways position for Soul Path 2, please. Okay, that one went wild and crazy. Okay, yeah, there's definitely a fear here. There's a fear of being isolated. We have the World and the Five of Pentacles as clarifiers here. So I think what you don't see is that there is a season for things in our life. For certain friendships to come to an end because either one or all of us have experienced some growth or have matured in some way, or simply our priorities and needs change. And I think that is the underlying energy of all of this. So I feel like you're sensing the changes. You're sensing something needs to come to a close because it's no longer working any longer. And maybe this connection, I feel like these two are connected somehow. Maybe this has helped you, this connection with this friend group has helped you cope with some level of heartbreak. So it's almost like you have to do that on your own now. And there is a fear of isolation, of stepping away from this friendship group, or maybe not aligning with them anymore, if anything, because you're afraid that you're not going to have anybody to lean on any longer. Now, I will say, if these are true friends, they will be there for you and be accepting of you when you need downtime, when you need to heal from something, when you need a time out from traveling or partying or whatever you are engaging in with them. I feel like whatever this heartbreak and pain is, this love needs to be processed. And so I feel like you're at this point where the challenge is going to be to move through this change, to not fear the lack, but to understand that this is a part of a bigger story for you. This isn't the end. This is a turnover of something new. It is an end and it is a beginning. But in order to see that full expression happen, we have to be willing to look at the difficulty and the challenges and the pain. But I feel kind of losing yourself in the entertainment or the kind of the excitement of the relationships, whether that's friendships or romantic relationships. I'm hearing the thrill of the chase. And the challenge is to know that if it's no longer working for us and maybe our priorities have changed, then it's time to reevaluate and reassess that strategy. Page of Pentacles. 2 cards for the Page of Pentacles. Because it's not going to simply go away because you have replaced the processing and the pain with something else. It's simply being hushed until such time that you are on your own, and it will come up. It will request to be looked at, to be healed. It will request for you to offer it some level of attention, whether you want to or not. So it's almost like best do this intentionally so that you can officially close whatever this chapter is, rather than have it hang over you. That's going to be the challenge. And the advice, one step at a time, and focus to being practical, finding comfort, security, and safety while you move through this, taking things slowly, not rushing, not replacing this process with something else, with quick fixes, with distractions. There's a 4 of Wands here, which is about rebuilding of your foundations. And then we have the 2 of Pentacles in the reverse, which speaks to not being able to juggle both of these things that are kind of coming up. And I just looked at the bottom of the deck, 10 of Swords in in the upright, which is this energy of ending, a painful ending that needs to kind of be put to bed because you have reached the end. You've reached an impasse. And in order to move on, you have to heal from and let go. The only way to do that is to look at it and to offer yourself a sense of stability and security and commit to that effort. With the 2 of Pentacles being in reverse, it's like the way you've done things is no longer sustainable, so you have to choose one. And it might be a little bit of a wobbly thing where it's going to be challenging as you figure it out, as you move through this, as you look at things practically, as you heal from. Because now that I look at this with all of the clarifiers, I feel like this is you rather than somebody else. I think this is you kind of learning how to be on your own, learning how to communicate, understand your choices and decisions a little bit better. And then moving through whatever this heartbreak is, whatever this painful situation might be. And rather than do it quickly and fast and impulsively, possibly, to do it with a little more patience, to be a little more grounded in your approach, a little more strategic, a little slower. And I almost wonder if self-love is I think I said that at the beginning, where self-love could be the strongest focus here, where it's kind of bringing yourself back into wholeness again, so that you can be open to different experiences. And self-love doesn't necessarily mean I love myself, I love everything about me, I love the good parts, the bad parts. That is part of it, to love all of those pieces of you, but also how you're showing up for yourself when you move through these sticky parts, when you're seeing things that you don't like about yourself. How are you treating yourself? How are you holding space for yourself? So let's get 2 oracle cards to end your reading. Blessings are showering your life. So I definitely feel like there's a lot of beautiful energy around you at this time, and there's a lot of beautiful people. So that's not to say to break off from your friend groups. I think there just needs to be a time and a space for this particular healing that you need to process and move through. One more for Soul Path 1. One more for Soul Path 1. Okay, so this is this world energy, a divine plan. Whether you believe that or not, that is, I'm going to leave that to you. But there's a divine plan with where things are heading and why things are happening in the way they are at this time. I feel like this heartbreak, you might know that it hasn't been processed, and maybe something's triggering you to move through this at this time. But I think the reason why is that while you have beautiful things and people in your life, there is some path, and there's pathways in this one as well. This one is moving towards the water, so there's some level of maybe emotional engagement that you need to move through or move towards. And this one is kind of like very 5 of Pentacles energy, where you're setting off kind of on your own to do this journey on your own, to overcome certain obstacles, emotional obstacles, mental obstacles. And as beautiful as your friends might be, they might be able to hold space for you, but they'll have to meet you on the other side. I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a solo trip as you move through this, and it might be quite arid, quite dry, quite it's not exciting. It's not as exciting as this landscape, to be honest, but this is important because I feel like there's a lot to learn. There's some foundations, I think spiritual foundations just as much as emotional and maybe even mental foundations that you are building and learning and understanding in this process. You are an apprentice coming into this energy of opening up to mastering how you take care of yourself, how you are loving yourself, how you are showing up for yourself. And maybe even spending time with yourself. What does that look like? But bring this ambitious Mars energy into it, where you can really see this from a point of view of curiosity rather than dread, and to really be open and non-judgmental of yourself, of what things come up in this moment, what you learn about yourself, what you learn about other people from your past, other relationships, the hurts and the pains that you've experienced, and maybe releasing some guilt and shame in that process that you could possibly have been carrying around for some time. So this is what I have for you, Soul Path 2. If you'd like to dive deeper with a personal reading, the link to book is in the description box. And with gratitude, I'm sending you my love, and we'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Soul Path 3. Welcome to your reading. So you chose Neptune with the aquamarine. Now, Neptune is all about the collective consciousness, idealism, dreams, fantasy, challenging the status quo, evolution, and empathy. So that could be some messages that pertain to what you are needing to focus on or maybe that's something that you need to align with a little bit more. There's also this feeling of overwhelming emotion as well. So that could be connected to something relating to the thing that you need to break away from in regards to your patterns. Maybe you are quite a sensitive person and that you just are a really deep feeler. So maybe that has made you feel a little bit stuck or hindered in the past, or maybe like the world is too much because you feel so much. And so there's this feeling like you don't know if it'll ever be any different, or like you'll always be triggered by life and people and situations because you feel so much, you feel so deeply. You are very sensitive, possibly psychic, and are very imaginative, possibly quite creative as well. So let's get an opening card. Support. Interesting. So there is a sense that maybe you need to find support in this regard, especially if you are very empathetic, you're a sensitive personality, you are a deep feeler. There's also a high level of intuition coming through as well. You might be psychic, or you could have visions, premonitions. And to find support to learn how to manage the emotions especially in challenging times. Now, this could also be a trauma response as well. So you may need to find support in order to heal something, in order to build your toolbox to be able to work through things that feel really overwhelming. Maybe support in moving towards your dreams. But let's look at the patterns now. And when we talk about breaking away, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cut ties. It's basically saying like what you have to detach yourself from, or adapt or change within your life to step into something that feels a little more energetic so that you can thrive versus survive. For Soul Path 3, please. The pattern that they need to break away from. Pattern they need to break away from for Soul Path 3. Thank you. So we have the Six of Wands. Now we'll look at the challenge. Challenge for Soul Path 3. We have the Five of Swords. And let's get some guidance or advice on how to overcome this challenge. Strongest energy, please. Strongest. Thank you. We have the Three of Pentacles. So we will get clarifiers for these. So nostalgia is coming through on the bottom of the deck. So there could be something from your past that you need support from. Could be could be very contentious energy, could be conflict with the fives here. So there could have been a lot of conflict possibly with your past. And speaking of past, Soul Path 1 got a card referring to the past. So that might be something to check out. Now, just looking at the number 10 here, I almost wonder if you're at the end of some kind of cycle, or the end of feeling like something needs to change. Now, when we look at the Six of Wands here, interesting that this is in the position of the patterns that need to be addressed or broken away from. What I'm getting from this is that there's a level of external validation that you're looking for in order to feel successful, in order to feel fulfilled, in order to feel like you're doing a good job. There's a level of recognition and reward that you might be seeking outside of yourself that may have to be broken free from because the external is unreliable. You have to enjoy and love what you're doing and not rely on the external to validate whether it's good enough or not. Now, that's not to say that you can't get that external validation or confirmation. But I feel because it is in the position that it's in, you might be relying on it a little too much. So how can you validate that a little bit more for yourself? Is it something that I appreciate? Is it something that I find joyful? Is it something that I'm really proud of? And if it's something that you're really, checks all those boxes and maybe you're excited about it, then that should be the check mark of approval, the reward and the recognition, to know that you put your heart and soul into this thing, and that is enough. So enough is coming through here. It's almost like you don't feel like enough, so you have to seek validation and confirmation in the external world to get that enough, that feeling of enough. But I have a feeling and a suspicion that you might not be getting what you're seeking. So then you might be feeling doubtful. There's imposter syndrome that's coming up because of it. There's doubts on what you're doing, about how you're feeling about yourself. Should I change it? Let's adapt it. Let's move it. And it's still not hitting the mark. So it's almost like getting back to your authentic voice. And to seek support, but not have that support tell you what to do, if that makes any sense. Now, in the challenged position, we have the Five of Swords, which is this energy of conflict, this energy of winning at all costs. And this can be a very exhaustive energy, especially if we are constantly looking to the external for that validation and confirmation. And especially if we're making changes and adaptations within ourselves to appease and to be liked, or to get more likes, or to get more subscribers, or whatever it might be, then we are almost compromising our integrity, that authenticity and uniqueness, that unique voice that we do have that helps us stand out. And we somehow become this amalgamation of this person and that person, and almost trying to guess what's going to work and what's not, when it has to come from the heart. And doing that consistently will eventually build that reputation, that recognition from others. It will be attractive rather than trying to chase that thing by adjusting and shifting. So it's almost like, coming back to this Neptune energy, it's like shifting the status quo of what you've done in the past to not appeasing those who may be criticizing what you're doing. First of all, who are they if they are criticizing you? Are they anyone of importance? And is their criticism constructive, or is it cruel? And if they have no influence in our life, they have no meaning in our life, and they're strangers, then why are we taking that at face value? We don't know who they are. We don't know if they have our best interests at heart. They don't really have the full picture of what we're doing and why. They don't have that connection to us. And again, it's one thing to have constructive criticism that can improve things and help you along, but it's another to just criticize because you're putting yourself out there in this authentic way. And then the advice, I feel, is this collaboration with the right people. Rather than catering to the masses, to focus on what you do really well and whose opinion or skill set do you value. And that support is coming through again. So finding the right support network, the right connections or network of people that are genuinely interested in what you're doing and have an invested interest in your success and growth. That could be collaborators, that could be contractors, that could be family or friends. But to almost ignore the haters, that might be really challenging for you, because you've almost put too much stock into these people who simply want to tear you down, and who just want to fight, who want to create tension and want to throw you off your game. Really interesting message, Soul Path 3 so far. Let's get some clarifiers. 6 of Wands. Let's get 2. Aha! 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 Spirit's very clear. Okay, so we were on the right track here with this message. We've got the Devil and the 9 of Swords, if I can hold these up. And on the bottom of the deck, just out of curiosity, we won't keep it out, we do have the 9 of Wands in the upright. Boundaries, healthy boundaries of working hard and not allowing toxic people in to this inner circle of yours. Now, apply that how you see fit. But again, I feel like whoever you're leaning on for validation to get recognition, I don't know if you'll get it because they don't want to give you that reward. They don't want to elevate you. They want to keep you down here within their control and almost kind of controlling your mind to keep you up at night, to keep you worried and stressed. And as a sensitive person or an empath, this can be quite difficult for you because you're such a kind person, you're such a giving person, a loving person. You see through people's pain. It's difficult for you to maybe understand that other people aren't that way, that other people want to cut other people down, who want to start fights, who want to get in people's heads and to create stress. So it's kind of moving above and beyond that and reminding yourself who these people are. Are they important to you? And if they are not important to you, then give them a very low level of influence. And okay, say they are somebody that you're connected to, a friend, a family member. Then if they don't have your best interest at heart and are simply just criticizing you because you're following your dreams and what you feel passionate about, try your best to put them on the same level as these people. Because your opinion and advice and feeling is what matters most when it comes to your own dreams, when it comes to the things that you want to imagine and create. That is all that matters. So unless they have something valuable to offer, then sure, listen to what they have to say, but don't internalize it. Don't change anything. Don't change who you are just because they are family or close friends. They might have to get downgraded in their opinion scale or their criticism scale because it's not helpful. So 5 of Swords, 2 clarifiers of that, please. 3 of Pentacles shows up again. And so I think there's kind of inklings or hints of this happening. You may be already knowing that this is an obstacle I have to kind of work through. And then we also have the Ace of Pentacles and the High Priestess. So it's intuition. And because this 3 of Pentacles is down here as well, it's almost like this energy kind of helps you understand that this is your guidance and this is what you have to work towards, are the right people. Maybe you find help in the midst of this. But the challenge is to discern what are the right opportunities, who are the right people to come together to elevate, and using that intuition, that higher knowing, to know that these people who just want to cut you down should have absolutely zero bearing or zero weight when it comes to what you do and what you chase, what you attract, who you are, how you express. And the 9 of Cups is at the bottom of that. So that to me is just do the things that make you feel fulfilled regardless of the people who disagree. Don't engage in the fights unless they have something constructive to say, helpful. Let's clarify the 3 of Pentacles. 3 of Pentacles. 2 cards for the Three of Pentacles, please. Thank you. So we have the King of Pentacles. Look at that. It will bring a level of success and mastery. And then the Three of Wands, which is on its side, which is this manifestation energy of waiting to respond, observing, waiting for the right time. You have set your intentions on a specific goal. Maybe you are a business owner, an artist, a creator. And so it's like you need to collaborate with the right people in order to find your success and feel really fulfilled, but it could take some time. You might not trust this process because you're taking this into consideration a little too much. So it's understanding it's about having the idea of setting your intent and then putting it into action, having a plan and putting it into action, and then waiting for the results, waiting for the right thing, and ignoring what doesn't align with your ultimate goal. Again, this could take some time to master. This could take a level of commitment on your part, but I really feel you're going to come into this energy of knowing what you want, expressing that, and getting the right rewards from the right people. And I think it's going to be a very different type of recognition and reward than you are getting currently. I think it's going to come in a financial aspect. So when you start stepping into that authentic voice, that authenticity, and that's a word that we hear a lot of, that authentic voice and that authenticity, but kind of moving by your own rules, doing things your own way, and sharing your voice, whatever your intuition is calling you towards. I really feel like it's going to give you a sense of security within yourself, comfort within yourself. And you're not going to look to the external for that because you can conjure it up within you. So we'll get 2 cards to end your reading. Keep going, but also block out the noise. Find that support, that healthy support, that collaborative support. Yeah, you are beginning a new cycle. First light. So this is coming out of a way that you've done something in the past, and we talked about that with the 10. So this is coming into a new dawn of something. Navigating by the stars, follow your bliss. I mean, the cards cannot get clearer sometimes. Following your bliss, even though you might have some doubts that it'll ever come in. Because when it's on its side, it's like, I'm not really sure if it's going to happen or not. I'm not really sure if I'm not getting this reward by all of the likes and the subscribes, then is it actually real? You have to have trust in your intuition. You have to have trust in how you're expressing this to the world, how you're putting yourself out there, who you're connecting in with, and putting your energy into the right things with the right people at the right time. And follow your bliss is not knowing where it'll take you, but continuing to trust in that faith that you have in yourself, faith that you have in your abilities and your skill, and faith that your intuition is leading you to the right places. But know that it will take time, so don't lose hope just because it hasn't shown up yet. So this is what I have for you, Soul Path 3. If you'd like to dive deeper with a personal reading, the link to book that is in the description box. With gratitude, I'm sending you my love, and we'll see you in your next reading.